Hey, welcome to a new episode of Worlds Collide. This is the podcast where I talk to people about their experiences abroad. And I am your host, Victoria. Before we start, I wanted to make sure that you follow this podcast on your podcast app. So push the button in the corner of your app so you will never miss an episode. And if you also want to help me out a little bit and like this podcast, then you could give it a 5-star rating on your podcast app, or maybe even, if this is not too much to ask for, write a sentence or two on Apple Podcast. And yeah, that would be great. So thank you so much for that. That was that. So now it's the time for this week's interview. Here it is. All right. Okay, so my guest today is Aggelos. Hey, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks. Thank you very much for the call.
Yes, thanks for being on my podcast. I'm excited to hear more about you. So tell me, where are you right now?
I'm in Copenhagen, Denmark, so Northern Europe.
You're in Copenhagen. I wanted to always have somebody from in Denmark. So yay, finally here. I didn't even know it.
Well, surprise for you.
Surprise, surprise. Okay. Denmark. And where are you from originally?
I'm from Greece, from Northern Greece, a city called Thessaloniki.
Thessaloniki. Oh, I've been there on vacation once.
Really? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Impressive.
Yeah, my old roommate, he was also from Greece. I once went with him to visit his family in Kilkis. It's like a Kilkis. Yes, so I went to the small town there.
You really had the proper experience then.
Oh yeah, sure. And then we also went to Thessaloniki and to Chalkidiki. Yeah.
Nice.
But that was my only time in Greece. So, but I liked it. Yes, and it's a long time ago.
But it's really nice that you got to meet your family and all that. That's
right,
actually like you see the real Greece.
Yeah, exactly. It was like small town Greece. I was like, oh, this is like, I don't know, like my grandma, somewhere else. Just all right. So tell me, how long have you been in Denmark?
Very long. I moved to Denmark in 2015 in September, so it will soon be 9 years with a few small breaks that I temporarily moved to other places.
Okay, and why did you move there?
Because initially I'm an engineer and I wanted to pursue further studies in wind energy, and the university here is, first of all, the only place that I could find that had a dedicated wind energy masters. But also it has a very good reputation also in terms of research. So that's how I first got here. But as an engineer, you're not really bound by language. Language is English. Or professional language is English. So which means that after graduating, I had, for example, a lot of my peers went to other countries, for example, Germany, because they found like nice opportunities, professional opportunities. So they said, yeah, why not? I will take it. While if you're doing like maybe other professions like law, medicine, you are much more bound by language.
Yeah. And for you, was it like ever like an idea to go somewhere else? I mean, if I think of wind energy in Denmark, it's very proficient and also it's flat. I guess it's like the perfect place for it, right? I mean, we went there last year on vacation and there are so many wind turbines everywhere.
Well, but actually you will see, because I'm working mostly with offshore wind turbines, but like if you drive through a country, the best examples where you actually see a lot of wind turbines are Germany and Spain in Europe.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of onshore wind energy in those countries. Denmark has let's say assembled a lot of know-how over the years, mainly because it was one of the first countries to use what used to be windmills to harvest wind energy, not just for crops or for whatever else.
Uh-huh.
But then Denmark as such is not necessarily the biggest market to sell turbines. UK is a very big market, for example, in Europe. So a lot of the design is happening here, but it's not necessarily
I see.
being
Okay,
sold
and
here.
why did you then decide to stay?
Um, I think it's a little bit the same example as I said, that a lot of people found like nice opportunities in other places. I found a
Mm-hmm.
nice opportunity. I wanted to try. I also felt like comfortable in Denmark. It also
Okay.
becomes like a little bit annoying to move all the time.
Right.
So I wanted to try. I found a nice job here, and that's the story
And
basically.
that's it. Okay. You just said your studies were in English, but was it also like did you also have to learn Danish?
I didn't have to.
Uh-huh. But you
Uh,
did.
I I get by. I get by. it,
Okay.
it, it's a country where people are very fluent in English, and that is both a
Mm-hmm.
blessing and a curse, um, because you're not forced
To learn
to
the
learn the
language.
language. And having also lived in Germany for a short while, it's exactly the flip situation where it's like people a lot of the times understand what you're telling them in English, and but they
Mm-hmm.
refuse to switch.
I see, sure.
But then it becomes a survival issue, so you pick up the language much faster.
Uh-huh. Okay, got it.
Uh,
So you understand it, but like speaking is different. So it's kind of like the same way as somebody would answer you. You know, like I understand what you're saying, but I cannot respond.
Yeah, I think it's like I usually describe it as speaking to a 10-year-old. So it's like you're speaking to a
Mm,
10-year-old, basically.
okay, okay, got it. So like, how is your Danish now?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
I'm not gonna have a discussion about geopolitics in
Yeah,
Danish.
yeah, yeah. Okay, but like, and what about your English before you started your studies? Was it like as good as it is now, or did you
No,
also had to learn more English?
it definitely improved, um, but it was not a problem in the sense of vocabulary improved a lot.
Yeah,
Um, then of course you improve your accent, or you pick up all sorts of accents
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
different
Exactly.
people.
Especially when you're not in a like a local English speaking place.
Exactly, exactly. But it was not really a problem, and I think that the main reason was that in Greece we don't dub movies and series.
Okay.
So in Germany, in Italy, in Spain, a lot of TV or all of TV
Adapt.
is
Yeah.
in the local language, so you don't
Mm-hmm.
have any inputs. But in Greece, I usually say that I learned English from watching Friends.
Oh yeah. Okay. Watching Friends. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, it was not. I could not write a technical report or any report as I do now in English, but I could do it like
you
just in a
could.
worse level.
So when you got to Denmark, have you been there before?
No, and actually that is a kind of a joke we have with my parents, because they visited Denmark when I was, I don't know, 2 3 years old, something like
Okay.
that,
Uh-huh.
and they didn't take me with them.
Oh.
So like
Oh, nice. I
so
missed out. You still wanted to go and check.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it was the first time. It was the first time.
Okay. And so what did you expect?
Nothing really, because like Denmark is a very small country. It's not like you hear about Denmark in international
Yeah,
news
you
all the
don't.
time.
Mhm.
Even if you come from another European country, right? So I don't know. I think it would be the exact same thing if I lived in Denmark and I moved to Greece. I wouldn't know much,
Right.
or
Okay.
maybe I would have an idea from summer vacation.
I always feel like if it comes to the Nordic countries, they're all just one. You know, it's more like if
Don't
you
tell
think
them
of
that.
like, no,
Don't tell
no,
them
don't tell them that. Okay,
that.
quiet, quiet, quiet. Of course, yeah, yeah. But it's always like, oh yeah, in Scandinavia, you always talk about like Scandinavia. You don't talk much about like the single
um,
countries.
I think so. I think the relationship is kind of a big brother, small brother, and
Uh-huh.
depending on who you ask, you're gonna get different replies on who's the big brother and who's the small
Oh
brother.
yeah,
But
especially it has like royalty too.
yeah, and there is history with wars between the countries. But
Okay.
what I mean is that if you leave Sweden, Norway, and Denmark in a room, they will just fight about everything. But then
Okay.
to the outside, they are very close, so they will stick with each other. That's what I mean.
Mm,
It's a brotherly relationship, right?
okay,
So they
okay.
will pick on each other, but in the
But
end, they are
they
very
will
close.
fight together.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what was then the biggest difference to you when you got there?
Um, a lot. I mean, within the context of Europe,
Uh-huh.
and I think that's important, and I will explain in a second why. I think within the context of Europe, Greece and Denmark are very different.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean also you are far away.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You have totally different heritages, and it's like also I mean cold versus hot as well. I mean everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, so in the context of Europe, and what I mean is that like we always judge the world based on our own bubble. So the world
Uh-huh.
is much bigger than Europe, right?
Right.
So if you compare to any country in the world, I think we're very close. Like all the countries within Europe are very close in culturally. But then if we just look at our own bubble, our own closed system, then we differ a lot.
I mean, I would never, though it would not be like in my head to say that they're like similar because I mean, just because of like all the Greek ancient history, is so different than, for example, I don't know, Nordic history.
I can think of a lot of reasons. I don't know how much you want
Yeah,
to
tell
talk
me.
about that, but
Yeah, yeah, just we can always cut it out if it gets too long. So,
sure. But I think the first, like, if you start from contemporary things, uh, like European Union, like gives us a lot in common, even though we don't realize it. Like
yeah,
being a
okay.
citizen of the European Union,
Hmm.
like just the fact that you move to another country without thinking, do I need a visa? Do I need to do anything? No,
Right,
you just
this is
book a ticket.
nice. Yes.
And you have a lot more things in common than you realize. You actually, I think you need to meet people from outside Europe or EU to realize how much we have in common with each other.
Hmm.
But then also, if you go, I think like many years back in time, the fact that, for example, it was one religion, okay, with small variations, and maybe now we don't believe as much, or we do, doesn't matter, but like we have common origins, right?
Hmm.
Stuff like that we look alike. And okay, if you look at me tanned in summer, I don't look like a Dane,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it's
Uh-huh.
also much different than putting in like the facial characteristics, the body types are very similar compared to other countries in the world. So you also feel a little bit more, in a sense, familiar, if that
Mhm.
if that makes sense. So that's what I mean, that we are much closer than we think.
Mhm.
Languages, you have like two, three languages. Like you have Greek, you have Latin, and you have, I don't know if it's considered Saxon, like
Yeah.
if the correct word is Saxon, the correct name. But then like you have things that bring you together, like you don't realize it necessarily. Like
Mhm.
we usually stick to the things that we differ, like to the things that set us apart. We like to talk about those more.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
But other than that, I think we're very similar.
So when you got there, so what was the thing that you really liked?
um I think that Denmark is a society that works, and I really appreciate that a lot of things work as they work as described. Let's say.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So like public transport is punctual. Um, Communication with the state is, it's all digitalized. You have very small bureaucracy.
Oh, that's nice.
You pay a lot of taxes, but at the same time, you can see where your taxes go. So
Exactly.
at least for me, that's a nice feeling, that I don't like paying a lot of taxes, but like I can see that, okay, there is a school being built, or like the streets are being maintained right,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think the the what I liked most, and I still like it from Denmark, is that takes a lot of your problems away because things work.
Okay. Do you think, like, especially when it comes to Greece? I
Yeah,
mean, it's
exactly.
just because economically they did not do so well.
It's so that is a good point, but I'm not even referring to that. I think, and maybe I have a lot of theories about that. No evidence to back it up, but a lot of theories. Uh, I do think that this has to do with the weather, because it's,
Okay.
even if I look at it on a personal level, if I have to do something, right, but then it's a really nice day outside, I will much easier say I will do it tomorrow. I
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
will just go out and enjoy the
Right,
day.
right. Uh-huh.
So it could be related to the weather, but like you're right about the economical part, but I don't even think it has to do with that. Like the fact that some things work, or that, for example, bureaucracy is like the tax system in Denmark is very complex. I don't know
Uh-huh.
why, but it's very complex. I think it's like you just go one way and then you just have to stick with it, like the Sangen cost fallacy, and then
Okay.
you do patches and patches. But like you don't have to worry about it that much, in the sense that it's made, a lot of the things are being automized for you. They are reported directly to the tax authorities,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to worry about it. Of course, you want to review some things, but especially if you are like a salaried employee, like you don't have
Okay.
like maybe your own business, or you don't have anything complex
Right.
in the accounting sense,
Yeah.
then it's a very straightforward process.
So are you doing your taxes right now?
No,
Where you
but
just had,
but
yeah.
I had a actually, this year was the only year that was not straightforward for me, because last year I was in the US for some months,
Okay.
and then it
And
was
then
like a huge mess. Who
I
pays
see.
what?
Right, right. Okay. Oh no. And you had to do it, you had to file the taxes yourself? Or do you have like an accountant?
No, like in theory, I would not have to do anything, like, because in Denmark, I would pay more tax. So basically, I would pay the Danish tax, and then some of it would be claimed by the US
Ah, okay.
for the months that I would be working in the US. But the tricky part becomes on the where and to what each country is blind. Like, so I was working there and I was making this X amount of money, but like, does US know and does Denmark know? And then like
Mhm.
you have to bring everything in, like everyone in the same page. Kind of.
I see. Oh yeah, it's complicated. Tax is always complicated. At least like here, it's like an easy system. I don't know. But I know in Germany it's like also so complicated. So I would probably assume like it's more like in Germany where they don't have like the easier, more simplified tax system.
Yeah, I think so. It's not that it's simple here, it's just that a lot of things are being reported automatically.
Okay,
So
all right, but then
so your employer will send you your paycheck every
uh-huh.
month, but they will also send it to the tax
Right,
authorities.
okay.
So at the end of the month, at the end of the year, or like a little bit later than the end of the year, the tax authorities will ask you, are these things correct?
Okay.
And then you just have to say
Yes.
yes.
Okay. You say yes because no, you have
Yeah,
more work.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And since we're talking about work, so how would you say like your the work environment is different?
I think it's quite different, and probably it's also very different to Germany from my small experience in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
because there is a very flat hierarchy in
Okay.
Scandinavia in general. So you have, of course, roles and positions and all that, but I don't know if you're encouraged, but you're free to say like your opinion to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean your professional
Yeah,
opinion,
yeah,
not that
yeah.
you like
Uh-huh.
your hair.
Yeah, it's okay.
uh, so, and at least in the being an engineer, I really appreciate that, because you're paid to solve a problem,
Yeah.
and if you disagree with the solution, or if you can see a better way, you're always free to speak up,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they will not implement your opinion or your
Okay.
solution, but you are welcome to voice it.
Okay, that is nice. So you're not like thinking, oh, I worry if I complain about this solution or if I like speak my doubts, then
No,
I'll
no,
be
no,
in
not at all.
trouble.
No,
Nice.
not at all. It's
Okay, it's
actually
very
even
professional.
yeah, of course. Of course, this is something that I think once you understand it, it's something that you appreciate a lot and you try to protect, in the sense that I will also be very careful about the things that I complain, because I don't want to complain for the sake of complaining, right? I want to
Mm-hmm.
complain to improve something, not just to be the annoying kid in the class.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. No, don't like say something all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and I think that works. Of course, you will always have people that tend to complain more than others, but that you have regardless of the system.
Okay. And going back to your studies, so I imagine so since you moved there for studying, did you just move into the dormitories of the university or
Of
how?
course,
Yes,
of
of
course.
course.
No, I was lucky in the sense that I think it's become worse now, but that the universities are really struggling to find accommodation for all the students.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of prepare you, and they ask you to or do your own research for
Research, okay.
accommodation,
Find your own
and then
room.
but I think, again, this is one of my conspiracy theories,
Okay, okay.
that because I was doing this master that I had to move around between countries, I think they were giving us a little bit of priority in finding accommodation, because we needed to change anyways, and it was
Okay.
not easy to find accommodation. Just like I think they give priority to students that come from outside EU when it comes to dorms.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. Yeah, because I mean, okay, sure. Makes sense.
Because it's simply because it's more difficult, and because they pay a lot of tuition.
Right,
I don't know
right,
if
right.
part of the tuition is also, I don't know if it's kind of a setup deal that, like, pay X amount of money, but then you also get some accommodation.
Okay, so can I also pay for the service that they help you find
Yeah,
something?
but I think they were trying to at least give a fixed amount of spots
Right.
uh, to students coming from far away.
Mm-hmm. And you said like you had to move around for the program?
Um, yeah, I had to go to a small place in Niedersachsen that's called Oldenburg.
Oldenburg, okay.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
and
that small, is
I
it?
I never managed to pronounce it right.
Oh, I got it. Uh, and how long were you there for?
6 months.
Okay, and then you had to move back to Copenhagen?
Yes, and at the end, I had the option to do my thesis with either university, or to like at either university, or of course somewhere else if I found a different setup.
Mm-hmm.
But then I decided to do it in Copenhagen, also because I was already leaning towards trying to stay in Copenhagen for longer.
And so when you then finished the program, you were like more looking into jobs there?
Yes.
Okay. So why did you like it so much then?
I think I appreciated a lot the this what I mentioned about things working,
Yeah.
because and then again you can go into a very big discussion about this. It's These are not things like the bus running on time is not
Okay.
something that makes you happy,
But you can
right?
rely on it.
But it takes one of your worries away.
Yeah.
Like, to go from A to B, I will just take this bus. End of story.
Uh-huh.
And if you sum all of these things up, again, they don't make you happy, but they kind of take your pulse down. They make you a little bit more relaxed.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best way I can
Okay.
describe. And
So
also, like, within 2 years, I had moved from Greece to Denmark, then from Denmark to Germany, then from Germany back to Denmark. I was also a little bit if it was 50-50, let's say, if I was 50-50 whether I want to move to Germany and find a job there, or to Denmark, I would prefer to stay in Denmark so I don't have to move again.
Yeah, right. Okay. Because you are also kind of tired of moving around. You wanted to have like a place where you finally like settle.
At least, yeah, at least at that point, it was quite exhausting to move
Oh yeah.
every
Yeah,
semester,
you were
basically.
ready.
Yeah.
Okay. And so let's talk about Danish food.
Why?
I don't know because do you like it?
I'm not a big fan. Um, it's always a topic of like making jokes about Danish food.
Oh yeah, because well, it's just herring and bread.
Yeah, it's like they have this the what they call open sandwich,
Uh-huh.
which is, to be fair, it's a full meal because they stuff it with a lot of things, and the bread itself, it's like is this rye bread that is like very thick.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
So
being from Germany, you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
I know. And also like last year when we visited, I tried all of them.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, it's not like if you would ask what kind. Let's say if you want to have dinner and it's like, okay, what should we eat tonight? You will never say let's eat Danish.
You're right. You say like, let's go somewhere, whatever,
Yeah,
Thai or
yeah,
pizza or Greek.
yeah,
So do you
exactly.
miss Greek
So
food?
I do. I would say I miss more not the food itself. I miss the way of eating. Um,
Okay.
so again, within the context of Europe, I think that the further north you go from having all the dishes to one table and everyone eating from everything,
Mm-hmm.
to having your own portion and people eating very quietly,
Okay. All
like
right. This is how you
only.
eat in the north.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
So I miss that. It's not. I think you can adapt to the food. That's
Right.
fine. Or I can also make Greek food, so it's not like I miss it so much. I can cook whatever I want. Um, but you cannot bring the same vibe.
I see. Yeah. I know what you mean. But it's funny because my family also eats very quiet and just everybody eats just their own plate and it always drove me nuts. It's like you can like hear a needle falling on the carpet. It's like nobody's talking. And so
I had a sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no, so I always like I don't want to eat with you guys. Sorry, this is I just rather just put on the TV. It's I don't know, same company.
Yeah, exactly. Some company. It's just like I think the approach in Greece, and I've seen it also in Spain, in Italy, in Portugal, is that the food is there to bring you together,
Mhm.
but you could have had the exact same night with something that has way worse quality in terms of food.
Mhm. Okay.
Of course, the fact that someone just put the effort and just try to make it nice for you, that counts, right? But like if you're in good company, then the food is the excuse to be with that company.
Yeah.
But then if I sit alone, or not alone, if I sit quietly and just eat, like put some salad in my plate, put some food in my plate, and then just eat the food, then that's not the case anymore.
Right. And so and what is there that you miss from Greece?
That's what I miss. I
And
miss the eating, like the way of eating, not the food as
uh-huh.
such.
And
Yeah.
anything else? I mean besides friends and family probably.
Yeah. Like family, yes, it's of course one thing. I miss a little bit people being more social,
Okay.
because Denmark is a very closed society. People keep to themselves,
Mhm.
and they have this inherent feeling that I should mind my own business, and if I'm going to talk to someone, I should have a very good reason. Otherwise, I'm probably
Mm,
bothering them.
okay.
There was this joke after COVID that was like, okay, restrictions are over, COVID is pretty much gone. We don't need to keep 2 meters distance anymore. We can go back to our 5 meters.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. And so and how then was it harder because of that to find friends?
Danish friends.
Yeah.
Friends in general, no, because I think when you study abroad, and especially if it's a little bit bigger university, an international university,
Mm-hmm.
which it was here, you are being basically thrown into
Right.
a pit of thousands of other people in the
Right.
exact same situation. That your common language is English,
Mm-hmm.
and you are all in need of forming at least a couple friendships,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the university here, I think it was also really it was really nice set up in the way that there was like introduction weeks, and you would get to socialize with a lot of people in a very short while. So you would immediately get in touch with a lot of people, and then with some you would stick, with some you wouldn't,
Yeah.
but then you would had a head start.
And then later, I mean, you studied, and you also just said earlier that a lot of people moved away.
Mhm.
So and later in work, like, did you just make friends with your coworkers?
um yes, I think, of course, like i, I think the further away you go from studies, the fewer chances you have to meet people.
Yeah.
And I think also it would be a very different situation for me. Like if you ask me how much I like Denmark, having moved to Denmark for a job, like not being thrown in a pool of people
Right.
in the same situation with me, then maybe I would tell you I cannot stand it,
Uh-huh. Okay.
because it would be difficult to meet people.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, I have some very good friends from work. I have, of course, some very good friends that stayed all these years,
Uh-huh.
just like I did. So that's
Okay,
nice.
so you're not lonely.
No, no,
Good,
no, no.
good,
I'm
good.
not lonely. I'm liking that sense.
Good. And is there like a favorite holiday that you have?
Favorite holiday? No. What do you mean?
I mean, okay, so I guess since it's like still all like more European and Christian, but it's like if they celebrate Christmas different than, for example, you do, or if they have like a
Um,
holiday that they like, whatever, their Danish Independence Day or something, where they really celebrate it.
it was Constitution Day yesterday, actually. So yesterday was a day off.
Okay, it's
But
just like
actually,
the day of
Denmark
work.
has. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't think I have a favorite holiday. I think maybe the only difference is that the big like gathering in Christmas here happens on the 24th.
Hmm.
Like the family time and everything happens on the
Okay.
24th. In Greece, it would happen on the 25th,
Interesting.
but that's it.
I
It's
didn't
like
know
it's
that.
minor.
I didn't know you celebrate Christmas on the 25th in Greece. Because in Germany it's
Yeah,
also 24th.
yeah. A lot of countries have the 24th.
I always just thought it's just the US was weird.
That's
Hard. Um, so how was it though for you to adjust to the weather, or like the shorter days, the longer days, depending on what season?
I think it's not it's not the weather that is the so it rains a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
it's cloudy and stuff. I don't think it's the weather the problem. The difficult part is the short the short days, because like going to the office and during night and leaving the office and still being night, or being night
Yeah,
again, because
it's
all
dark.
the hours of daylight were from 9 to 3. That can be very tough,
Yeah.
because you go home and you feel like the day's over, you don't want to do anything. Yeah, that is
But
you have to get used to that, and not everyone does.
but does it get like even like light out, or is it just like dawn?
No, no, it's not that north.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
not that
yeah.
north.
Okay. I only have been there in summer, so I don't know. But in summer you have like long days, which is nice.
It's super nice, and actually you don't really want to go home a lot of the days,
Mhm.
because you're gonna have light until like very late at night, and you like dawn will start, I don't know, at 4 a.m.
Mhm.
Or not dawn, official dawn, the way they measure it, but like there you will have like a
The sun's
bright
coming
sky.
up slowly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, summer is really nice. And also, what I always say is that if you work during summer, it's much nicer to work from the north, because like in the south it's so warm that it's very difficult
Right.
to be productive.
Yeah, I mean, this is also why a lot of the southern countries have siesta. Do you have it in
Yeah,
Greece too, siesta?
no,
No.
we don't. But also, it was never, strangely enough, it was never a thing to have a proper lunch break in Greece.
No?
So siesta is partially because of the heat, of course,
Yeah.
but also because people have just eaten, right? So a lot of people will snack during the day, but they will not have a lunch break where they will eat something that will just drag them down for the rest of the day.
Okay. Does Copenhagen now feel home, like home for you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you are planning on staying, or would you move somewhere else, or would you consider moving back?
I'm not planning on leaving, but
Mm-hmm.
that's always, you cannot tell the future,
Right,
right? You
right.
don't know what happens. But yeah, I don't have any plan on leaving.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good if you feel comfortable where you are. So
Yeah. Of course, it is good, and it even feels strange when someone asks you, like after a long time, like how do you like it here?
yeah, it's like, oh,
I
I
guess,
fully adjusted.
I mean, if I'm here after all these years, I guess I do like it, to a certain extent at least. It cannot
Yeah.
be that I don't like it. Yeah.
And is there anything besides like the rain and like the short days in winter? Is there anything that you don't like? Oh, I mean, you already said
I,
like they're
I,
like not
I,
social and
yeah, I think this comes a little bit as a package, that like weather is not the best. You don't get a lot of sunlight, and then people also tend to stay more inside, and then that
right.
also affects their personality. They're more, they keep to themselves. So yeah, they sound different, but I think that they come a little bit as a package.
I think so too. I mean, also like while I'm doing this podcast, like this comes up a lot, and
Yeah.
everybody who moves like from like a different like climate difference, like from north to south or the other way around, they always say this: in the south, in the warm countries, everybody's very open and friendly, is always smiling, and in the colder country, everybody's always serious, and more distant.
Yeah, and people are very polite, right? Everyone here is very polite. If you ask for help, they will help you.
Hmm.
But like, it's that then there is a very clear barrier of, I'm polite, I help you, but like we're not friends.
Yeah.
This is the end of this
Yeah.
conversation.
No, I get it. But here it's sometimes hard to tell like who is your friend and who is not, because like everybody is so friendly and like sharing so many informations and always does like so much small talk. But you will like never be invited to their house, and if they say like, oh yeah, you should come over, they don't mean it. It's just like all just
Yeah,
blah
yeah,
blah.
yeah. No, that you will not have. Actually, here it will be the exact opposite.
Hmm.
That people, they will tell you you should come, like, and they will give you a date like in 3 months in the future.
Yeah.
But then they will put it down in their calendar, and then they will expect you. They don't need to say it again. They will expect you to be there.
So just like how I did the confirmation for the podcast, I was like,
Yeah,
because like sometimes like people like ask me like a day in advance, like, hey, can you confirm? And you were just like,
no,
oh
that's
yeah,
fair.
no, we set up the date and that's it. So
No, that's fair that you wanted a confirmation,
no,
right?
no,
Like
yeah,
I would
but
I would do the same.
yeah.
But also in a more casual, friendly setup, like if I tell you, okay, come over, bring your kids on September the 5th,
Yeah.
whatever, and then I'll make dinner. Then I I expect that if something goes wrong and you cannot make it, you will let me know. But
Hmm.
otherwise,
You're gonna show up.
yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah. Going back to when you were still in Greece and were applying for your university program, was it like at some point where you're like double thinking, hey, maybe I should not go, or how long did you have to decide on?
No, not for Denmark. Well, not for studies because I was kind of maturing it inside for quite some time. Of course, it's always a little bit of a shock the days before you do it, before you take the step. But even I don't think it ever really becomes easier. Like, it's a shock at the very beginning, but then if you do it 3 times, I don't think that the days before you feel very cool and relaxed about moving to another country. I think it's the same stressful, should I do it, should I not do it situation.
Yeah. And were you like ever thinking of, hey, maybe I should just see if I can find a program that is closer to home?
I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? If you have to go in a plane, it doesn't matter if it's going to be 2 hours or 3 hours
That's
to your
true.
flight.
That's true.
As long as there is a direct flight, then, and okay, again, I'm talking within the context of Europe. If it's a direct flight that it's to New York, then it's 10 hours, then okay, that
yeah,
changes.
no, but you have like, seriously, what, 4 hours or?
It's less. It's I think it's a little bit less than 3 hours to fly. So if it was flying there, or I don't know, flying to Utrecht for 2 hours,
right, that's not a difference. Okay, got it.
No.
No. Okay, I guess I have all my questions. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.
No, perfect. I'm very surprised that we managed to answer all these questions so fast.
I don't know. Like I always like send out that email in the beginning, and I honestly like I don't even remember like what questions I always. Yeah, that was my chat with Aggelos about all things Denmark. I think Denmark is a great country. Probably everybody will cherish it if they like good functioning country. But I thought it's very fun to visit too. So yeah, shout out to go to Denmark too. But I also don't want to forget to mention that Aggelos has a newsletter. It's called The Naive Ignorant Substack. There he writes about all things immigrants / expats. So yeah, check it out and subscribe. You will find the link to it in the show notes. And as well, in the show notes, you will find all the contact information to reach out to me. So please do so. If you want to write me an email, send it to worldscollide123pod@gmail.com or reach out to Instagram, Threads, or TikTok. But that was it from this week. And I hope you tune in again next week. Until then, bye.